This is Texas, and a lot of people own ranches. No big deal, right? Of course, not every family has continually owned the same ranch for over 150 years, but quite a few have. After all, this is Texas. So what makes Linda Lu Burton Rippetoe's story worth telling? I suppose it's the fact that she owns the oldest ranch in Comanche County, plus the fact that she's a woman, an 86-year-old woman, and she still does her ranch work herself, albeit with 2 new hips and 2 new knees after a Friday afternoon, October 12, 2007 fall, while working, broke the first hip. Linda was out on the ranch by herself, as is usual, when she took the tumble. There was nothing for her to do but crawl until she could get to the hoe, which she used to pull herself up and drag herself to her pickup truck, where she managed to get in and drive herself the 15 or so miles to her home. In case some of you city slickers don't know it, there are places in Texas where a cell phone does you no good, except maybe as something to throw at a mad cow. Anyway, once she was home, Linda called Mary Clemens to come get her and take her to the emergency room, and by midnight, she was in the Scott and White Hospital in Temple, Texas. By Saturday afternoon, the hip was pinned back together, but the long ordeal was yet to be over. On February 28, 2008, Linda had 1 knee replaced. Then on July 24th of 2008, she had the first hip replaced. Then in 2009, she received her second new hip on April 7th and her second knee on June 29th. Unbelievably recovered on any given day, Linda Lu Burton Rippetoe can be seen getting into her white pickup truck, gloves on the dashboard, tools, work hat and shirt, and a can of WD-40 on the back floorboard, and the feet in the back end of the truck. On the 2 days that Shay Holland, our photographer, and I traveled with her, Linda was driving the truck, of course. We were constantly amazed at her knowledge of so many things as we moved from her family tree to the killing of the slave Isom Hicks, to the fact that Comanche and the surrounding counties simply must come up with a way to get their wild hog population under control. In case you didn't know it, here in Texas, that means we kill them. Linda also still maintains the family home place built in 1874. 19 years after her first ancestor to this area, great-great-grandfather Joseph Hicks purchased the land in 1855. Joseph Hicks did not remain in Comanche County long. In 1859, his trusted slave, Isom Hicks, was murdered by the Comanches. This troubled Hicks so badly that he packed up his family and within 10 days had moved them to Whitney, Texas, which was a little more civilized at the time. Joseph did, however, leave 2 daughters in this county, and that is why, at least to me, Linda's story becomes a story about the women. It was from these daughters of Joseph Hicks that the strength and courage of which we Texans like to boast came to Linda Lu Burton Rippetoe. Joseph Hicks' daughter, Sarah Ellen, married Fletcher Neely before her parents' departure in 1859, and they remained on the Comanche County land. Of course, it is through these great-grandparents that Linda descends, and today that land is only part of the 1,989 acres on which she toils. By the second day of following her around and not having seen Linda drink from the questionable water bottle that I was sure could possibly be stump water, I finally learned that the bottle sitting in the cup holder, thankfully, wasn't for drinking, but rather for hand washing. We are, after all, a little more civilized here in Texas than some states give us credit for. But civilized or not, the tiny Linda Lu unbelievably still puts out the 125-pound protein tubs by herself, even lifting them out of the pickup unassisted. However, at the age of 86, this Texas rancher has finally conceded that she needs some help with the 200-pound tubs. Although I have to wonder if that's really true, because when it came time to shove a 2,000-pound bull away from the feed trough, this lady rancher had no trouble at all, and she didn't even need to throw her cell phone at him. As our second day together came to an end, I was left to reflect, as I usually am, upon completing a story. I've known Linda Lu for a long time, and I've studied her ancestors for much longer. Somehow, I believe that old Joseph Hicks, who didn't have the courage to stay and fight, would be amazed and ever so proud at what the women of his family have accomplished.